Okay. So we were just told that if we finish early, we can eat early. I think we will finish early.
Somebody said that before.
Yeah. So my name's Marco. I'm the CTO of I2S, and this is Diogo with me. He's our workflow architect, and we have another team member in the crowd, Sandra, somewhere in the back there. So today, Diogo and I are going to talk to you about life, death, that's the background, and all the process in between. So this sounds a bit like clickbait, right? So can you guess where we work? I think we'll just come out and tell you. We work for insurance companies, right? And in particular, life insurance. So that's why we've got this topic here. Good question. Anyone here work for insurance companies? Life insurance companies? Anyone have insurance policy? Yeah, that's right. So your customers. I'm going to be talking about you in just a little bit. Actually, I'm going to have to explain a little bit about insurance before we tell you how and why we're using Flowable. So I'll start with that. This is one of our customers. Actually, it doesn't look too good, right? You know what just happened? Well, he had a crash. He's not in a great mood. I suppose some of you may have had a car crash in your history, and you know what happens, right? This is not a good thing. He's not in a good mood. He's probably going to talk to one of our people at the call center. So this is when people talk to us, when they're unhappy. And you think this is bad, it actually gets worse. Sorry for the grainy picture, but I think it gives you a certain message, right? This bird is not happy, right? His mate has just kicked the bucket. And this is exactly what happens to our customers. Bad things, right? Bad things happen to our customers all the time. And that's insurance. So this guy's been left behind. I'll tell a little story. When I was a young man, I'll just refine that. When I was even younger than now, and I had an incredible amount of hair, you won't see that now. I had an idea about life insurance. I thought, this is a scam, right? You pay a premium every month, and then they give you money when you die. How are you going to collect that? Doesn't make sense, right? That's not life insurance, right? That's when I was young. Then I got married, got a house, and I realized the bank made me take out life insurance. They're the ones who get the money, right? So it's for the people who stay, not for the people who die, as it's obvious, right? It took me a while to figure that out. So the people left behind, they're grief-stricken, they're not happy either, and they're our customers too. They're not thinking straight, and this is the whole point of insurance. Insurance is there for what happens after. If you think about general insurance, there's this idea of loss, and somehow you can restore that loss. So if you damage your car, you can get money and fix it. That doesn't happen with people in life insurance. So if you lose someone, you don't actually replace the people, but you can get money to reduce the impact. And so that's the whole point of insurance. Somehow manage what comes after and help the people who are left behind. They depend on insurance, they depend on the insurance company, and they depend on companies like I2S who make software for the insurance company. The software has to work. We can't let them down. So we can't tell them, I'm sorry, the system's down. We can't help you today. So this is why it's important and critical insurance for customers. And in a nutshell, insurance deals with bad problems. We've been doing it for centuries, an old industry. And workflow is key to that. So you knew somewhere in my presentation I was going to talk about workflow, right? So this is it. And why is it key? So I have to explain a little bit more about insurance for you. So let's imagine customers, right? All these customers, different types of customers, individual customers, companies, and businesses and individuals. And they happen all the time in insurance around the insurance companies. And what we've got in the middle, the insurance company. We've got some workflows going on in there, very workflow intensive businesses. In fact, when I started working in insurance, people told me it's just processes and some risk management techniques. And that's all an insurance company is. So what are the two key moments for insurance companies? When we sell something to someone, and here you have things like direct channels. You may buy on the internet, you probably buy your insurance on the internet. Perhaps you like talking to an agent, somebody who sells you insurance. So there's someone between you and the insurance company. That could also be a bank branch, for example. They're treated as agents. It could be brokers, which are like big agents. And it can be things like affinity. So if you go and buy your new mobile phone, someone asks you, do you want to buy insurance for that? If you drop it and break it, you can get a new one. So there's a lot of distribution channels, and also sometimes you get business from other insurance companies who go half and half with you on a particular deal. So can you imagine this? It's just some of the distribution channels. There's a lot of distribution channels in insurance. And this is how this inflow is usually called underwriting. And this is one of the places we use Flowable and workflow generally to take customers, analyze risk, and decide which risk to accept. So that's one of the key moments for insurance companies. The second one, and then within the insurance companies, you also have a lot of actual work with reinsurance companies who insure the insurance companies. So when the risks get too big, there's someone standing back, and they're insuring the insurance company. And then also the insurance companies have a tendency to outsource work like any other company. So outsourcing printing, Diogo mentioned some examples there, outsourcing letter opening and emailing and SMS and all sorts of other things like claims as well. So there's quite a vibrant ecosystem around the insurance companies, and all these things have to be coordinated. And there's another second key moment, which is when you pay money out, which everyone sort of gets upset with insurance companies about because they usually want to take money in, but they don't want to give it back out. And this is when claims happen. And here, for example, if you're talking about health insurance, maybe you're going to a clinic or to a doctor and you're getting some co-payment going on. Maybe you're going back to the original place where you bought insurance. So now you're all insurance experts after this, and we can explain to you how we use Flowable. And I'll just tell you about I2S, the company. So that's 30 years old, not quite as old as Dow Jones, it's 130, so we're kind of babies compared to that. And now this is where I put my man voice on, because we develop core insurance applications. That's right, core insurance applications. Those are big, heavy, legacy, bad, massive applications that run on day to day. Sometimes 30 years old, sometimes 20 years old, sometimes 10 years old. Very rarely new type of software. So pretty difficult to change. Massive tail, lots of versions in the past, and it's very hard to manage this kind of software. So that's why we call it core insurance application. We've got 200 software engineers working, which means any technical decision is much easier because there are 200 people to talk about it. I think you know what I'm talking about. And we are a product company, which is an interesting concept. So what I mean by this is we're supposed to develop software that you can replicate in different companies. It shouldn't be specific, or each company shouldn't have their own version of software. But not like Flow, you have to develop something other people can use. And we'll also go into that in a little bit more detail. And in the end, we're based in Porto, Portugal. Just think that is like the Barcelona of Spain, that's the Barcelona of Portugal, right? This is the only place where people actually work. So what is a product company then? Let's get back to that. We're supposed to develop these generic frameworks that someone's supposed to take and then implement. That could be us, our customer, it could be someone else, a partner. Let's look at this in more detail. For example, a billing process. So this is your typical billing process with those big heavy core systems at the top, and they're generating a billing batch, let's say at the end of the month. Millions of people, you're going to receive that bill, and you're going to pay your next insurance premium. We also have a billing system. Also could be, the customer could be our billing system, could be someone else's, could be SAP, something else. So they're going to process those requests, and then there's some third party, say a bank is going to get that, and it's going to go to your account, try and get the money back, and you, the customer, you're going to pay, and you're going to like it. And then it comes back. You confirm payment, you get the collection, and the whole process is finished. So this is your typical process. What's difficult about this is that if you look at the colors, we are supposed to be doing this. Here, someone else could do this, and we're supposed to be able to adapt our software to work with several ways of doing it, and then there's external providers. So a lot of our problems are not just workflow type problems, they're workflow and integration at the same time. So those two things are very relevant for us, and we have to make it possible to have the same workflow working, but then different implementations of how that workflow goes ahead to the next part of the application chain. So in the past, we used to work a lot with this type of workflows where we program the workflows, but this actually has a lot of problems, so I think you'd spot them easily. So obviously if you're putting rules into your workflow directly, and obviously you don't have to do that, you've got DMM and other things to help you, then you're tying the rules with the actual workflow process, which means if the rules change, your process is going to change. Also, some things like errors. Maybe you're handling errors directly in your workflow as well. But that could actually mean that if you need to then change your error handling routines, you'd have to redeploy all these processes as well in different companies. And for example, if you put in the timers into your tasks, then once again, you've embedded something like your service level agreements into the actual workflow. This is something that today, most of you would probably find presents problems for customers. So how do I change this? How do I do this without changing my workflow definitions? Obviously, there are better ways of doing that. What are customers sort of asking from us nowadays? They're asking for simplified processes. So they even want their BPMN to look like their business process. So something where you can understand both the intention, what's going on, very descriptive, and a lot of the control activities are actually outside the flow. So maybe something like an SLA, you should be able to say something like, let's just change them this week. We're going to do a campaign. We need to tighten the service level agreement. We're not going to redeploy our processes in order to do that. We just want to control them in a different way. The same way that maybe error handling can be handled in a more generic way. So we've been challenged by customers in this sense, and as a product company, we have to build software that can work more like this and less like the program type of flow. Why does this happen? And the reason why this happens is, if you are approaching workflow today, you've all seen a lot of stuff, it's very machine learning, all that kind of thing. What's behind all this? You really want to automate your process in the future. And insurance is one of the key drivers for cost, is how much manual work is involved. So basically, companies like Allianz, others, when I showed you the underwriting process, 65% of that is now automated. And the target today would be something like 80%. You would not want to handle manually more than 20% of your actual incoming workflows. So this means you really have to think first automate, then exceptions, handle exceptions in a manual way. So this simplification, that's what really, this whole change in insurance, moving from manual to automatic, is what drove our search for a new kind of workflow engine. And now I'm going to hand over to Diogo, who's going to show you exactly how we adopted Flowable.
I am Diogo Ferreira. As Marco said, I am the workflow architect at FlowFest. So we believe in open source. We like open source. Early 2016, we started using Karaf for our integrations. And we loved how Karaf was stable and how integrations were easy to make. So when Marco said that we needed a new workflow solution, we started searching. And we were searching for something with a great community and great documentation. And most of all, something that's easy to integrate and nice to use and deploy. And then we found Flowable. Flowable, as soon as we found Flowable, we knew that we had to use it because it has the key strengths that we needed. It has BPMN standards, a flexible architecture and configuration, deploy and control mechanisms, and an awesome API, REST API. So, does anyone here knows or uses Karaf? That's nice. As you know, maybe Karaf is an OSGI runtime environment, so it can run any OSGI runtime environment because Karaf is just an interface. It doesn't need a specific OSGI runtime. And normally we use this OSGI to deploy some bundles to normally augment the functionality of our workflow. And we also like the deployment features that Karaf gives us. We currently have deployed Karaf with integrations, not with workflow, but with other integrations for services and so on. And I think 2 or 3 clients, yeah. And they loved it. And some clients even themselves, they integrate with our product APIs. So now I will show you how easy to install Flowable in Karaf. We have developed a okay. So can you see? I have to extend here. So this is Caraf's console. We have done some features to install the data sources and the engine wrapper that we custom made. So now I will deploy an H2Man. We don't have a database instance here, a real one. So we will deploy H2Man. So it has installed the data source. Now we will install our Flowable engine wrapper that was custom made. It was done to deploy the engine on Caraf. So this will take a minute or so, or less. Cool. And we all know this kind of log, Liquid-Base building the database on H2. Now, we needed something to show, right? So we developed a bundle that contains some processes that Flowable already gives us. So we will install that. And to easy the job for us, we have also developed a component that installs some commands that we can run here on the Caraf's console. So it's Caraf's management. This will give us some commands to run here to see, for example, what deployments we have made. So there is here one. There is here a list of commands that we have created to list, for example, a deployment list. So let's see what we have deployed.
You didn't develop these sounds.
Yeah.
Come standard.
So here we are using the Flowable's login, its user and password. And you can see here that we have already deployed the bundle of processes that Flowable gives us. So we want to see the process that we have deployed. There is another command here that is process list. And here we have to use the ID that was given by the earlier command. So let's use 7. Now we can see that which processes that were given by our bundle. But maybe some people don't like the look of this console. So there is a thing called Audio. That this is a web console, okay? It's a management console for Caraf. So we log in here. And you can see here that the things are much prettier. We have integration with JMX. So with here, we can also run the commands that were given by that management component. So you can see here, for example, one, I think, 1%. There is here the number of a, from that list I knew that it was a 1. So this is one of the processes that we have deployed with that demo. So this is basically a glimpse of what we can make with Caraf. Okay? And this is what we have done to integrate Flowable with it. But this is not all. The benefits of using Flowable in Caraf is that Flowable is a great integration platform. Workflow and workflow. It's Flowable. It's a great and robust workflow engine. So together, they make an awesome and powerful integration platform. One of the key features that we have developed is the service registry. With a service registry, we can take some I2S pins and dynamically resolve them at runtime on the processes. Let's take, for example, the printing that Marco said. Our workflow needs to print, but to print, it needs information. That information can have different sources. On some clients may be one service, in other clients may be a file. We don't know. So, what we have done, it's a property engine resolver that dynamically searches through the I2S pins and gets the source of information for that case. with some parameters like channel, or that's specific of our business model. And the idea here is to have some product processes that are highly flexible and configurable, and have them deployed with some I2S beans that are specific for that client or case, making it in numerous flexible combinations. But that's not all. We also developed a bot framework. What Marco said about the SLEs, we want to have the dynamic of during runtime, without any additional deploy, alter the configuration of an SLEA. So we have built this framework that is constantly searching for OSGI services that Flowable gives us, uses them, and makes some actions with them. Like, for example, our PAM. We use OSGI services from Flowable, like our Flowable engine, or process engine, and do queries to that database and saves them, enrich the information, because if we wanted to use the information as is, we could already use like the listeners to deploy the information to another database, but we want to enrich it and make the most process on that information to our PAM be more performant, more faster. So, with that, we have built the PAM bot that using those services saves on the PAM DB. Together with this framework, we've also built our task manager and form builder. There are bots that take action on the task manager that we'll show next, and form builder too. This is our task manager. Here we are listing the pending tasks that are now ongoing, and it now is searchable for name of identity, type of task, and social number. But if we take a closer look, we can already see some signs of the bot acting. You can see here that it has already marked with a SLA single priority and a dual date. Green being the low priority, red being the highest priority. And the bot also gives us the due date. And this is the bot is running in all the time. Like I don't know, here maybe it's every 3 hours or something like that. But it's completely configurable. We can have our bots running in single-threaded, multi-threaded, in all kinds of environment, and they run inside the JVM, the JVM of the car apps. When we click on a task, we can also see here 2 integrations. One integration for the header information. This is, as I said earlier, that sources of information can vary from client to client. So here we can see on this specific client, we have this source of information. That cannot always be true, but we have a product API, so it will always look the same, but the source of information may vary. And down below, we have here 2 integration with, here this is more specific from the front end. Here we are having, like, it's a questionnaire field, but here we can also have like a register exams for medical exams. We can also add this here. This is a questionnaire, but it could be anything else. And we can talk about BAM bot without having a BAM dashboard. So this is our dashboard. The information here is already enriched. We can see here that we have SLEs being calculated. We can see here that we have the open versus closed tasks. This may be important for our business model because normally clients want to see the performance of their company. This is a great dashboard to see that. Also, we have here open versus closed processes during the time and so on. But we still have challenges. We still have accessibility challenges and multi-directory authentication challenges. Marco?
Yeah, so just to wrap up, so we're sort of a very happy user of Flowable. We're using it with big insurance names. Some I can't mention because we haven't finished the project, but others are well known. And this is sort of this is in production. It's going further into production next year with 2 customers. So we're very happy with the choice we made of Flowable. Our key challenge is, as a product company, how can we build something that's common and then allow other people to vary that? And one of the points is exactly extensibility. So we'd love to talk to people about how you're approaching this, but let's say you want to let someone else use your task manager, but build out their own UI, how would you approach that? And the things like, you saw those distribution channels, and the problem is all of them have different users. So some are bank users, some are agent users, some are users for the company, some are users for another company. And the question is, how do you then authenticate all those users at the same time? So you have to have some kind of multi-directory type capability. And if anyone's done that or had that kind of problem, we'd love to talk to you about that as well. So we'll be around later on if anyone wants to chat about this. And thank you for your time. We've released you on time for your food. So at least that will achieve.
Actually, we're so far ahead of
Yeah.
schedule. The food's not here yet.
The food's not here, so fast, and the food's not here.
Yeah. So I mean, let's take the opportunity for questions. And I think if there's any questions that came from any of the conversations this morning, then we can use a bit of time now while we wait for the food to get some of those questions answered by any of the previous speakers. So is there anything that anyone wants to ask?
For your IDM, we're using a something called Keycloak.
Kiko?
Keycloak.
Oh, Kiko.
Which is you can use SAML and OpenID for authentication, but you can put identity providers additional, and you can chain multiple Keycloaks together, or chain them with Google or Twitter, or write your own custom identity provider. And then it's got multiple settings on how you want to do your authentication. Like if you want to, you can set a specific provider to be trusted, and in that case, if they authenticate someone, they will just add that to your database of users. So maybe look at that.
That could be an option, yeah. That's great. Thanks for sharing that.
One of the questions that we have, something that we're struggling, is how to move your applications or processes from production, from a development environment to staging environment to production environment. At the moment, our solution is export the process, import it, deploy it, then export it again to the next. It's not working very well.
That's an interesting point. One of the reasons the Yorkshire Karaf plus Flowable was because of this. Because when you start having Java components and dependencies, Java component and the processes, you've got to find some way to bundle all that stuff together. So the way we're using it is with the Karaf bundles, and it has like a deployment service for if you have multi-instances of Karaf. So you could actually deploy to web service a bundle which has components, processes, whatever else you need, and it takes it as one shot. So you could send it to one environment, then the next environment.
You don't have to actually have access to the terminals. You just have to use a REST API that remotely will deploy a bundle.
So that's how we found it to work for us, because we were already Karaf users, and we looked around the Karaf solution. If you're not Karaf, you may be heavy-handed for what you need, but for us, that works well.
Thank you.